She changed our lives. And since then, we have had two more. Amy is 10 and Benji's 9. And we sing on the weekends, and we still write songs, and Bill publishes.
Bill Gaither and his wife Gloria have been the public face of Christian music for many years, presenting a unified front that has inspired millions of people all over the world because of their combined efforts. From a professional and a personal standpoint, their connection appeared to be unbreakable. On the other hand, when the rumors of the divorce started spreading, the entire world was thrown into pandemonium. How did this come about? Is it possible that Gloria, who is generally a reserved person, suddenly broke her silence and disclosed information that no one anticipated? Over the course of many years, they were regarded as the very definition of love, faith, and collaboration. Nevertheless, Gloria's shocking revelations have caused everyone to reevaluate what they previously believed. Everything began with a change, a small fissure in the surface that gradually grew into a chasm. This was the beginning of everything. As the number of months that passed without Bill and Gloria speaking to one another increased, rumors began to evolve into crazy guesses. The once-loved duo, who were well known for their stirring duets and teachings of spirituality, were suddenly at the center of a gathering storm of criticism. There was a lot of anticipation among the music industry, as well as millions of their followers, as rumors circulated regarding their personal life. As of late, speculation over a broken marriage and subsequent divorce has emerged as the most popular issue, taking over the news. However, it was not until Gloria Gaither eventually spoke up that the truth began to become more apparent. Her statements were incisive, honest, and packed with a great deal of emotional weight. She detailed the personal battles and the periods of emotional agony that led to the dissolution of a marriage that had been happy in the past. She spoke about the enormous difficulties that come with living under the intense scrutiny of the public light. As people all across the world listened, they could not help but wonder what had become of this golden duo of Christian music. She began to reveal more about the couple's existence together by means of Gloria's unexpected confession, which was the catalyst for this revelation. The gleaming exterior of the pair, who were smiling and walking hand in hand, started to fracture. Was their love story too perfect in its depiction? Could it be that the pressure of constant public scrutiny was the true factor that led to their broken relationship? Can you tell me the truth about what caused them to part ways? And what was the reason that Gloria waited until now to provide her perspective on the matter? From the beginning, it was obvious that this was not merely a celebrity breakup. In the course of a journey that spanned decades of common history, music, and ministry, this particular chapter involved a profoundly personal and heartbreaking experience. The Gaithers, Bill and Gloria, worked together to establish an empire, not only in the realm of music, but also inside the community of Christians. They were able to touch the lives of people of all ages with their compositions, performances, and shared faith. For many years, their relationship appeared to be unshakable, as it was characterized by love, adoration, and respect for one another. The fact that they have divorced, however, makes it very evident that their connection was significantly more complicated than anyone ever imagined it to be. Where did things go wrong? What caused them to go from being the most powerful couple in the world to being two individuals who live their lives independently? The admission made by Gloria provided a hint at more profound troubles, problems that had been seething beneath the surface for a far longer period of time than anyone was aware of. The stresses of their public life started to take their toll on them behind the lovely harmonies and dynamic on-stage connection that they were known for. In her open and honest interview, Gloria talked about the tiredness that she experienced as a result of juggling the demands of a business, a family, and a marriage that required her to have constant attention. Something that began as a voyage of faith and love for both of them gradually turned into a battle for both of them eventually. The basis of their marriage started to deteriorate as a result of the demands of their ministry and the high expectations of the general public. In spite of the fact that they were continuously in the public eye, they rarely had the opportunity to cultivate their relationship in private because they were frequently taken apart by their respective jobs. When Bill's health began to deteriorate, that was the moment that everything changed. As he retreated into his own personal troubles, the formerly vigorous and energizing figure in Christian music became more reclusive. As a partner who has always been supportive, Gloria found herself in the position of bearing the burden of not only their artistic legacy, but also their personal relationship simultaneously. They both became emotionally and physically distanced from one another over the course of time, as a result of the strain that they were under. Gloria disclosed instances in which she experienced a sense of being more of a carer than a wife. It was suddenly difficult to ignore the fissures that had been hidden from the public's view, yet had been present all along. No longer were Bill and Gloria the couple who had captured the world with their songs of faith, but they had lost that ability. Both of them were having a hard time connecting with me. Not only was their divorce not the result of a dramatic confrontation, but it was also not the result of infidelity or betrayal. It was, rather, the conclusion of years of gradual and steady unraveling that had been going on. Gloria revealed that they both grew apart in separate ways, and despite the fact that they continued to love each other, their marriage was no longer able to withstand the years of emotional neglect that they had endured. It was not out of spite that they took the decision to split ways. Rather, it was a profound realization that their lives had taken different directions and that their futures were no longer congruent with one another. It is something that very few people actually get what it is like to live one's life under the continual scrutiny of the public eye. There were no exceptions made for Bill and Gloria Gaither. Because they were considered to be icons in the field of Christian music, they were always in the spotlight. Every action that they took was scrutinized, regardless of whether they were giving speeches at faith-based gatherings or performing at concerts that were completely sold out. However, although many couples may have discovered that their shared fame provided them with strength, for Bill and Gloria, it became a cause of strain in their relationship. Gloria confessed that the celebrity that they had treasured in the past gradually turned into a burden for them. It was a gap that none of them had anticipated, but it was brought about by the burden of maintaining a public image while also coping with inner issues. Both in their marriage and in their vocation, it was expected of them that they would possess ideal qualities. The fact that the public had the expectation that they would be a perfect pair just helped to accentuate the flaws that already existed in their relationship. Gloria remarked that there were times when she hoped they could just be regular people, free from the continual need to be immaculate. She acknowledged that this was a possibility. Additionally, their personal space was diminished as a result of their public existence. Bill, who was well known for his magnetic presence on stage, frequently withdrew inside himself while they were not performing performances. As a result of the demands of their ministry, they were never allowed to spend time alone together and were instead always surrounded by fans, personnel, and other musicians. In spite of the fact that she was in a marriage that seemed to be full of love and success, Gloria expressed the feelings of isolation that she experienced. The emotional toll of this loneliness grew too much for them to handle, and the incessant expectations of the public drove them more apart from one another. The narrative of Gloria shed light on the inner anguish that is a natural consequence of being in a relationship that is always brought to the forefront. They had neither of them prepared themselves for the stress that would come from attempting to live up to the expectations of the world while also handling their own personal issues. As time went on, their marriage turned into more of a show than a partnership, and finally, it became hard to maintain the same level of performance. Bill and Gloria's marriage had been on life support for a number of years by the time they made the decision to divorce, which was a difficult and heartbreaking decision. Gloria confessed that their relationship was distinguished by years of emotional isolation, despite the fact that it was filled with moments of great affection whenever they were together. The ultimate choice was not decided on the spur of the moment. As time went on, they gradually came to the realization that they could no longer continue to live a lie. Their relationship, which had been unbreakable in the past, had become irreparably broken at this point. Significantly contributing to the dissolution of their marriage was Bill's health, which had been a persistent source of concern throughout their marriage. Gloria revealed that she had found herself taking on more tasks than she had ever done before, and as a consequence, the emotional distance that existed between them expanded. Her relationship with the person with whom she had previously shared everything became increasingly distant, both physically and emotionally. It was not only the loss of intimacy that finally led to their separation, it was also the loss of connection that was the driving force. The decision to divorce Gloria was not motivated by feelings of betrayal or hostility to her partner. It was about coming to terms with the fact that they both required completely different things in their lives. During her speech, she discussed the anguish that accompanied the realization that their marriage was no longer beneficial to either of them. It was no longer possible for the pair to be the partners they had been in the past since they had grown apart, despite the fact that they continued to care deeply for each other. Even though they had a long history together, Gloria explained the emotional journey she went through when she ultimately came to terms with the fact that divorce was the only way to go forward. While Gloria was in the process of finalizing the divorce, she thought of the significant influence that their relationship had on her. Despite the fact that she spoke about the love that they had once shared, she admitted that it was time for both of them to move on and pursue their own individual pathways. There was no indication of failure in the divorce. It was a chance for both Bill and Gloria to start over with their lives, albeit in their own unique ways, but with the same level of love and respect for one another. After the split, life goes on. The manner in which Gloria is rebuilding her future. Gloria Gaither has started to go through the process of redefining who she is as a result of her divorce from Bill. Currently, she is more than just the spouse of a well-known artist. In addition to having her own dreams, ambitions, and passions, she is a unique individual. After spending many years living in the shadow of her public character, Gloria's tale is one of personal reinvention, going forward with self-assurance and strength. While it has been a traumatic experience for her, the divorce has provided her with new possibilities to explore and develop. Gloria revealed that she is currently concentrating on becoming more familiar with her own voice. Now that she is no longer bound to the position of a supporting spouse, she is directing her energy towards new ideas and initiatives that are important to her on a personal level. Irrespective of whether it be in the realm of music, community involvement, or philanthropy, she is embracing new challenges and discovering fulfillment in ways that she never imagined were possible. Gloria has found that during her journey of self-discovery, she has experienced both liberation and empowerment. Gloria is adamant that she is forging her own distinctive path, despite the fact that the world may still consider her to be a member of a well-known team. During her reflection, she pondered the significance of welcoming change and the personal development that might result from challenging life transitions. Gloria's goal for this new chapter is to construct a future that is wholly her own, one in which she can boldly stand as a woman who is strong and independent. During the years that Gloria Gaither spent in the public eye alongside Bill Gaither, she was subjected to a great deal of strain, and once the couple divorced, she found herself in unfamiliar territory. For the first time in years, she was by herself, and the spotlight that had previously been shining on them as a couple gave the impression that it had moved away. Despite the fact that the public had always admired their dynamic as a musical power couple, the change in her personal life meant that she had to emerge from the shadow of Bill and face the world on her own. In the aftermath of her divorce, Gloria underwent a change that was not only about physical space, but also about emotional liberation. She had been married to Bill Gaither for a very long time, and her identity was inextricably linked to the public persona of being his wife. Now that she was no longer in that relationship, Gloria was taking the time to find who she was for herself. She contemplated the fact that her time spent in the limelight frequently made it challenging for her to concentrate on her own personal development. Being in the public eye required her to continuously conform to expectations, maintain a certain image, and live up to the expectations that others had of her in terms of what she ought to be. On the other hand, she discovered the space to breathe, reflect, and begin over when she was by herself. The time that she has spent away from the theater has been formative for her. Gloria has welcomed seclusion and the time for introspection, rather than lingering on the past, but instead focusing on the present. Through the process of re-establishing a connection with her own creative side, she has started pursuing projects that she had previously neglected. She said that her enthusiasm for music and the ministry had never decreased, but that she was now able to approach it in a manner that was distinctively her own personal style. For the first time in years, Gloria is living her life according to her own terms, making choices that are congruent with who she truly is, and charting a route forward that is not determined by the expectations of her prior existence. More than merely reimagining her professional life, Gloria is undergoing a makeover. In addition to this, it is about accepting the notion that she does not require a partner in order to confirm her worth. She has acquired the ability to esteem herself not only for the roles she has performed in the past, but also for who she is as an individual. It is very evident that Gloria is no longer the woman who once defined herself purely by her connection with Bill. This new period in her life has been one of amazing self-discovery, and it is clear that Gloria has changed since then. For the first time in her life, she is a woman who is regaining her strength and standing tall on her own. As people all around the world speculated about the breakup of Bill and Gloria's marriage, many people were left wondering what the real reasons were for the dissolution of their union. A united face had always been given by the couple behind the closed doors of their home, but the reality was much more complicated than that. After the divorce, Gloria made the decision to come up, which has thrown light on the inner workings of their relationship. Their partnership was defined by love, hardships, and concessions that many people did not see coming. Gloria was of the opinion that their relationship had always been characterized by love and respect. Nonetheless, the responsibilities of their careers and the persistent pressure from the public eventually took their toll on their partnership. The persons Bill and Gloria were both extremely driven, with each of them concentrating on their own distinct interests and goals respectively. There was a gradual weakening of their personal relationship as their careers progressed to greater heights. The emotional toll of persistent travel, the expectations put on them as a power couple, and the difficulty of combining their public image with their private lives were all factors that contributed to the disintegration of their marriage. Gloria divulged the fact that due to the passage of time, they both started to lose contact with one another. The incessant pressures of their work and the ever-increasing obligations they were responsible for drew them in opposite directions, despite the fact that they still had feelings of love for one another. During the time that Bill was becoming more preoccupied with his music and the ministry, Gloria discovered that she was experiencing feelings of isolation and disconnection from him. Despite their best efforts to make it work, they were unable to seem to bridge the emotional distance that existed between them. The space between them grew increasingly wide. Clarity was the driving force behind Gloria's choice to end her marriage. Rather than being a result of anger or betrayal, it was the realization that they had both evolved over the course of their lives that prompted this shift. It was the very things that had drawn them together in the first place that had caused the relationship that had once been full of passion and togetherness to become strained. They have aspirations, jobs, and public identities that they want to achieve. Despite the fact that their love had never completely diminished, Gloria made it abundantly plain that the reality of their life had become incompatible. The anguish of letting go was enormous for Gloria, and it is never easy to end a marriage after decades of shared history and mutual successes. Gloria's marriage had been going strong for decades. As she worked her way through the emotional terrain of divorce, she came to the realization that love is about more than just being within a relationship. It is about maturing, adapting to new circumstances, and being willing to let go when the time is right. Gloria pondered on the years that she and Bill had spent together constructing a life, but she also understood that it was time for both of them to move on with their lives on their own individual terms. It was not just the dissolution of her marriage that caused Gloria so much anguish. It was about the dissolution of a relationship that had been established over the course of many years with the intention of achieving the same objectives and goals. Despite the fact that their love had not been sufficient to keep them together, she acknowledged that it had nevertheless played a significant role in forming who they were as individuals. She remarked about the bittersweet aspect of their divorce. There was a lot of difficulty involved in making the decision to part ways, and Gloria confessed that it took her a considerable amount of time to accept the fact that they were no longer together. She revealed that there were times when the burden of the decision felt insurmountable, but that as time went on, she evolved to the point where she was able to accept the concept of moving on. Immediately following the conclusion of a romantic relationship, Gloria emphasized the significance of self-care and personal development. For her, the divorce presented an opportunity to find who she was, to pursue the things that she was passionate about, and to reimagine who she should be. She admitted that the divorce had caused her a great deal of emotional suffering, but she also discussed the sense of empowerment that she experienced as a result of regaining control of her own life circumstances. Gloria expressed her gratitude for the time she had spent with Bill and for the lessons they had learned together. Despite the fact that the agony of loss was very real, she came to the difficult realization that sometimes love requires letting go, and it was through this realization that she found the fortitude to go forward and embrace the next chapter of her life. Gloria Gaither found herself at a fork in the path following the conclusion of her marriage. This was the first time in many years that she was able to pursue her own career, despite the fact that the world may have regarded her as a member of a famous duo. After making the decision to emerge from the shade cast by Bill, Gloria felt a sense of empowerment, and she welcomed this decision with open arms. Her efforts to recreate herself began with a concentration on undertaking endeavors that were significant to her and that were congruent with her own personal ideals. Although Gloria's enthusiasm for music and ministry never faded, she was finally able to tackle it on her own terms with her newfound freedom. She started writing, composing, and recording music that expressed her own voice and vision. She also began recording her songs. Gloria decided to take advantage of the opportunity to develop her creative side in novel and interesting ways because she was no longer restricted to the position of a supporting partner. her work took on a new depth, one that enabled her to express her identity and to share her journey with the world. Her work took on this second level. However, Gloria's reinvention was not restricted to her professional life. Additionally, she welcomed personal development by devoting time to the exploration of new interests and activities that she had previously put on the back burner. Putting her own requirements first for the first time in years, she started putting more of an emphasis on her health and taking care of herself. In her talk, Gloria discussed the significance of achieving a sense of equilibrium and contentment inside oneself, and she emphasized how her journey following the divorce has enabled her to achieve this goal. The divorce was not the final chapter in Gloria's life. That moment marked the beginning of an exciting new chapter in the story. Her relationship with Bill is no longer the defining factor in her life. Rather, she is the one who is constructing her own identity and following her own aspirations. Following Gloria going through the process of adjusting to her new life following her divorce, the public's ravenous interest about her personal life increased. Due to the fact that she had been a public figure for such a long time, particularly because she was the wife of Bill Gaither, her every action was scrutinized and analyzed. Gloria was not unfamiliar with the attention of the media. In contrast, the spotlight felt even more intense now that I was confronting the world as a woman who had recently been single. She seemed to be followed wherever she went, and it seemed as though rumors and speculation followed her everywhere she went. In the beginning, Gloria had a hard time protecting herself from the scrutiny of the public. Every action and every appearance was interpreted by the media as a component of a broader narrative, and they were eager to jump to conclusions. It was common for tabloids and other sites to be filled with speculation on her future, her career, and even her emotional health. On the other hand, Gloria eventually became accustomed to accepting the scrutiny in a manner that enabled her to experience a sense of empowerment rather than diminution. She made the decision to concentrate on her own voice and the messages that were the most important to her. Gloria never stopped expressing her views on the significance of personal development and resiliency, and she never stopped pushing people to discover their own inner fortitude in the face of difficulty. She did not shy away from the spotlight, rather she utilized it as a platform to provide insight into her path. Gloria became a symbol of strength for many people, demonstrating to the world that life after a significant transition, whether it be a divorce, a professional transfer, or a personal setback, can be a moment for empowerment rather than a time for weakness. As a result of her candidness and calm demeanor during interviews, she became well known. Gloria gave a talk in which she discussed the knowledge she gained from her marriage and her divorce, with a particular emphasis on the concepts of self-empowerment and personal development. It was via this action that she was able to seize control of the story and demonstrate to the public that she was going forward on her own terms. In spite of the continual scrutiny from the public, Gloria never compromised who she was or what she believed in. She was able to rise above the noise and continue to follow her dreams despite the public's conjecture and judgment, which made her an inspiration for a great number of people. As time went on, Gloria gradually started to completely embrace the independence that she had recently acquired. Divorce is commonly regarded as a period of loss. Nevertheless, for Gloria, it was a moment that marked the beginning of her journey towards regaining her freedom. She had been on this path with Bill for such a long time, and it had played a significant role in shaping who she was. However, it was now time for her to define herself in a manner that was entirely her own. Not only did this personal shift have an impact on her professional life, but it also had an impact on her entire way of life. Gloria rediscovered the things that she was passionate about before she ever became a public person, thanks to the fact that she was no longer constrained by the expectations that come with being a member of a renowned couple. She devoted herself entirely to writing, the purpose of which was to investigate subjects that had always piqued her interest but had been obscured by her public character. As time went on, she discovered that she could find happiness in the most mundane of activities, such as spending time with her family, taking pleasure in moments of quiet thought, and contributing to the community in novel ways. Despite the fact that her love for music remained at the center of her life, she now addressed it as an independent artist with her own distinct point of view. Gloria actively sought out opportunities to work with other musicians, selecting only those projects that were personally significant to her rather than focusing solely on those that would enhance her public image. Her work took on a very personal tone, which enabled her to connect with her followers in a manner that felt more genuine than it ever had before. Gloria's journey after her divorce became a powerful story of healing and transformation. She prioritized her mental, emotional, and physical well-being, learning to find peace from within rather than relying on external external validation. In doing so, she redefined her identity, not as part of a famous duo, but as a strong, independent woman. She encouraged others, especially women, to care for themselves and recognize their worth. Her message was clear. Personal freedom and resilience come from within. Gloria built a new life, where she was no longer defined by her past, but empowered to shape her future. Through her music, writing, and public speaking, Gloria showed that success isn't measured by a lasting marriage, but by the strength to move forward and stay true to one's passions. What seemed like a tragic end became the beginning of a meaningful new chapter. Today, Gloria Gaither stands as a symbol of courage and reinvention. No longer just known as Bill Gaither's wife, she is celebrated as a pioneer in her own right. Her story is a reminder that it's never too late to rise, rebuild, and become who you were always meant to be. We are grateful that you took the time to watch this in-depth look into Gloria Gaither's remarkable story. In the aftermath of her divorce, what are your thoughts on her transformation? Post your thoughts in the comments section below. Please remember to give this post a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to receive other content that explores the lives of people who have triumphed against adversity and created something new. Additionally, keep in mind that change is never the conclusion. Rather, it is the beginning of something wonderful. Keep checking back for further developments.